Okay, so picture this. You're working on this research paper. You've got all these sources, articles, books, maybe even your own notes from lectures or interviews. You're struggling to even keep track of it all, let alone see how it all connects.
Sounds a lot like the situation that NotebookLM was designed to solve.
Right. It's like having this super organized research assistant who lives inside your computer. You feed it all your notes and documents, and it actually analyzes them, pulls out the key insights, helps you make connections that you might have missed.
So it's not just about storing information, it's about actively processing it and helping you make sense of it.
Exactly. That's what's so cool about it. It's like having a study buddy who read all the same material as you and can be like, hey, pay attention to this. Oh, and this connects to that, and can even point you in new directions to explore.
Now that's what I call a smart study buddy. Can you give me a real example of how this would actually work?
Yeah, okay. Let's say you are researching the history of artificial intelligence. You've got articles about Alan Turing, books on machine learning, maybe even some notes from a documentary you watched. So you upload all of that into NotebookLM, and it just starts working its magic.
So it's reading and analyzing all of those different sources, looking for the main themes and concepts.
Exactly. Like this super speed reader who can also summarize all the complex stuff. And then let's say you're super interested in the ethical implications of AI. You can ask NotebookLM something like, what are the main ethical concerns surrounding artificial intelligence?
And what happens then? Does it give you a list of facts?
It's way more than that. It goes way beyond that. It analyzes all your sources and pulls out all the important stuff about ethics. It might highlight some things from an article about AI bias. Then it might connect that to a discussion of job displacement from a book on automation, and then even link it to a quote from an expert in that documentary you watched.
So it's not just spitting back information, it's actually connecting the dots and highlighting how different ideas relate to each other.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so powerful. You see the big picture, understand the nuances, you even get new insights you might have missed on your own.
That's awesome. It sounds like it could really help students go beyond just summarizing stuff and actually, start to think critically about their research.
It really can. And it's not just students. Imagine journalists researching some big story, or a lawyer preparing for a case, or a business analyst just trying to understand market trends. NotebookLM could be a game changer for anyone who works with information.
Yeah, I get it. It's like having a personal research assistant who can help you cut through all the noise and get right to the point. Quick ask. Almost 95% of you watch our videos but still aren't subscribed. Please click subscribe. It really helps us grow. And if you're not loving our content, you can always change your mind. Thanks, and back to it. But is it really that simple? Do you just dump all your information into NotebookLM and it does all the thinking for you?
That's a great question. And it's really important to emphasize that NotebookLM is a tool. It's not a replacement for, critical thinking. It's like having a really smart partner in the research process, but you're still the one in charge. You have to evaluate the information, ask the right questions, and make sure you're not just blindly accepting whatever the AI tells you.
Right. It's like having one of those super powerful calculators. It can crunch the numbers, but you still have to understand the math and interpret the results.
Exactly. And one of the big things that sets NotebookLM apart from a regular search engine or one of those AI chatbots is that it's really grounded in your specific content. It's not just pulling random stuff from the internet. It's analyzing the documents you provided and giving you insights that are relevant to your research.
So it's like having a custom-tailored research assistant who's totally familiar with your project.
Exactly. And that's where that sous chef analogy we talked about comes in.
Yes. The sous chef who preps all the ingredients and helps you create your culinary masterpiece.
Right. In this case, your ingredients are the key insights from your research, and the recipe is your research question or goal. NotebookLM is like your sous chef, helping you organize those ingredients and figure out how to combine them to create something really insightful.
I like that analogy. It really captures the essence of how NotebookLM can take those raw ingredients of information and help you transform them into something meaningful and relevant to your work.
It's funny you should mention the chef analogy because it makes me think about how NotebookLM can be used not just for organizing information, but also for coming up with new ideas, like using those ingredients to make a whole new recipe.
That's a really interesting point. We touched on that earlier. NotebookLM is this brainstorming partner. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Hey, want our free AI dope top AI tools that we use? Chat below. It's our live Google Sheets packed with over 100 killer tools, video, music, photos, AI voices, productivity, script writing, YouTube hacks, captions, the works, always growing, live Google Sheet, always free, AI, dope top AI tools that we use. Download and chat below. Back to the show.
Imagine you're writing a novel or a screenplay or even a marketing campaign, and you've got some ideas, but you're feeling a little stuck, like you've hit a wall with the plot, or you can't come up with a good slogan.
Classic writer's block.
Yeah.
You're staring at the blank page and your mind is just as blank.
Yeah, exactly. That's when NotebookLM can really help. Instead of just waiting for inspiration, you can actually work with the tool to get those new ideas flowing.
How does that work? Do you just tell NotebookLM to give me some ideas? Well, it's a little more involved than that. Remember we talked about NotebookLM being grounded in your specific content? Same idea here. Let's say you're working on that novel. You've got character sketches, a basic plot outline, maybe some world-building notes. You put all that into NotebookLM.
So you're giving NotebookLM a look inside your creative mind.
Exactly. Once it has that background, it can actually start suggesting things that fit your project. It might suggest a new plot twist based on a character's history, or come up with a theme that ties together different parts of your world.
So it's not just throwing out random ideas, it's actually using what you've already created.
That's right. It's like you've got a brainstorming partner who knows your project inside and out, and who can offer suggestions that are both creative and relevant.
That's pretty cool. It sounds like it could really help writers get past those creative blocks and take their ideas further. But could it help with more technical writing too? Like research papers or essays?
Absolutely. Let's say you are writing that paper on the history of AI. You've done all the research, but you're stuck trying to come up with a good thesis statement. You could ask NotebookLM to look at your notes and suggest different arguments or research questions.
So it's like a thesis advisor who can help you narrow down your focus and make sure you're asking the right questions.
Exactly. And it's not just about getting brand new ideas. NotebookLM can also help you refine the ideas you already have. Let's say you have a draft of an essay, but you're not sure if it flows well, or if your arguments are clear. You can put that draft into NotebookLM and ask for feedback.
So it can act like a writing coach too, helping you improve your writing and make sure people understand what you're saying.
Exactly. And here's something really cool. As NotebookLM learns from your interactions and the feedback you give it, it gets even more personalized and effective over time. It's like a brainstorming partner who is constantly learning and getting better at understanding your creative process.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like a co-writer who's always learning and growing with you. But let's face it, nothing is perfect. Are there any limitations with NotebookLM when it comes to brainstorming?
One thing to remember is that NotebookLM is still being developed. It's a pretty new tool, so you might find a few glitches or things it can't do.
That makes sense. It's like any new technology. There are always a few kinks to work out.
Exactly. And another important thing is that NotebookLM is just a tool. It's not a replacement for human creativity. It can help spark ideas and make suggestions, but it's still up to you to decide which ideas are worth pursuing and how to develop them.
It's like having a toolbox full of incredible tools, but you still need to know how to use them effectively.
Right. And just like you wouldn't use a hammer to try and tighten a screw, you need to use NotebookLM in the right way to get the most out of it.
That's a great point. So NotebookLM can be amazing for brainstorming, but it's still a tool, and we need to use our own creativity and judgment with it.
Absolutely. And that leads to another important part of using NotebookLM effectively, critical thinking. And that's what we're going to dig into next.
We've talked about NotebookLM as this amazing research assistant, this awesome brainstorming partner. But you mentioned something really important at the end of the last part, the need for critical thinking.
You're absolutely right. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new tool, especially something as powerful as NotebookLM. But we have to remember that AI, it's still pretty new. It's not some magic solution.
It's like having a GPS. It gives you the fastest route, but it might not know about road closures or traffic. You still need to use your own judgment and common sense to get where you're going.
Exactly. Same thing with NotebookLM. It can analyze all that information, connect ideas, even make suggestions. But we still have to look at those outputs, do our own fact-checking, and use our critical thinking skills. And if you want another AI dope deep dive, check this next video and ask yourself, how lucky are we to live in these AI dope times?